Welcome to the Law Firm Growth Lab, the science of scaling your practice. 3,
2, 1, action.
Hello, this is Scott Berry, and thank you for joining us today. We're at the 2025 Kaleidoscope Conference in Austin, Texas, and it's hosted by 8am, and you may know them as the AffiniPay companies. MyCase, LawPay, CasePeer, DocketWise, they're now known as 8am. And we're with Monica Lira Bravo, and she is from Dallas, Texas, and one of the top immigration attorneys in the Metroplex, and she's at the conference as well, and we're gonna chat with her about what she enjoyed the most and get some feedback from her. Welcome, Monica.
Hi, Scott. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. What did you think about last night?
It's been great so far. I use already several of the vendors like 8am, and so I'm familiar with them, LawPay and DocketWise, but it's been great networking. I met somebody who actually is based out of Dallas who has like a dashboard. I think it's called Law KPI.
Yes.
Which I
know those guys.
I had never heard of it.
Yeah, they're in Allen.
Yeah, and he was telling me about it, and I was like, oh, great. Like, we'll have to follow up and see because, KPIs are just so important to track.
Yep, and I saw you talking to Hona, and you got to talk to the guys at Lawmatics as well.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. So Hona, we've been trying to schedule something with the office. So I got a little bit of FaceTime with them. They showed me a quick
Love
demo.
those guys.
We'll probably follow up in the next few weeks. With Lawmatics, actually, we are in the onboarding process with them. So also,
Brilliant.
We're new to their partnership. But yeah, it's just great seeing like so many of the different vendors that we use all together.
Yeah, and we're actually referral partners for Hona and Lawmatics.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So this is such a neat opportunity to be together with their founders and their CEOs to talk about what they have and what's coming out new. Yeah. So love that you're getting involved with both of those companies. They're very creative. And a lot has been said during the session today about technology and the use of technology to make your law firm more productive and higher performing. So are you into that kind of stuff?
Definitely. As you can see, I already use several of the different platforms, and I'm always looking for ways to automate and innovate and, save time, not just for clients, but also for our staff, and obviously save money too, because I think that's the whole point of technology, right? Is to make our lives easier.
Yep.
So
especially for a growing firm, you guys are growing, right? Yep. So you have to learn to do more with less and things like that, and it helps you scale.
Oh, definitely. I think we're with Lawmatics specifically. We looked into them this past year because. We heard how they help. They can just help with the the initial leads generation, follow up,
drip campaigns,
exactly. And so stuff that right now we have people doing, and so some of it may still need some people, but a lot of it can be done just automatic.
Yeah, they're kind of like a. I don't know if they'll love this comparison, but they're kind of like a HubSpot for law firms. Okay. So maybe some people know HubSpot more than Lawmatics, but there's a big need there.
Okay.
And what they do is create engagement, and that's big. Mm-hmm. That's big. So you sat in on a couple of sessions today already.
Right.
So the first one was about management and strategic growth for solo and small law firms. Mm-hmm. And Kelly was, I think, in that one, mm-hmm. Kelly Brubaker, who we also work with a lot. So did you enjoy that one, and was there anything in there that you were glad that they talked about that helped?
Yeah, I liked hearing what different firms use. In that panel, they had 2 personal injury attorneys in there, which is a little bit different than what I do, but still, it's a law firm. One of the speakers honestly talked more about the personal touch still, right? And still sometimes answering phone calls, which was like, innovative to hear because, we talk so much about using AI and using non-people to answer. Yeah. So, it's a mix, right? It was a nice takeaway.
Yeah, I enjoyed what the finance person was talking about is before you install all this AI, think about who your firm is. and what's your brand and what's the best match for that. Because if you're like a white glove, personalized firm, and then you lead with intake AI, it might be contrary to who you are as a company. And I'm like, wow, that's great, because normally I'm like, let's install it all.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But you could, at the same time, there are firms that are succeeding because they have that personal touch.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think with my law firm that I always look at, because I think that's part of what our clients like. They like being able to talk with a person. But at the same time, I acknowledge that I have another clientele base that doesn't like talking on the phone, right? That wants to do everything online and wants to schedule their own appointment and fill out their own intake form. So I'm hoping we can sort of do a blend of both.
Make it available.
Right. And they can kind of choose
however
what
the
they
channel
prefer.
they wanna use.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. What about all the talk about AI? Like, is it overblown right now, or was it helpful?
No, it's totally helpful. I think it's the future. If you're not using, you're dying. And so, this past year I've tried to focus on just learning more about it and figuring out like what's going to be the best for us, because in the legal field, there's a lot of things AI can help, especially like with forms and things, but and even legal research. But obviously, at the end of the day, you still need an attorney to review it, make sure there's no crazy language in there or crazy sites. But I think we just got to be strategic in how we incorporate AI. So I think it's so relevant.
I think I've seen a quote that's kind of circling around is, hey, AI isn't going to take your job, but someone who is really strong in AI is probably going to.
No, I think that's 100% it, right? It's you have to know how to use it to your advantage, because the people who are already using it do have already a leg up.
Yeah, once you start hearing about what they've implemented, then you realize maybe how far behind you really are. So if you think not very many people are installing it in the law firms, I think you might be mistaken.
Right.
Because people are silently putting these systems in place, and it's going to allow them to beat you if you're not careful.
Exactly.
So, well, let's talk about your firm, because you're really special in the Dallas community and very unique, right? And so, how did you even get the law firm started in the first place?
Yeah, so we're about to celebrate 15 years in January.
Congratulations.
And so back in 2011, when I started the firm, I was coming from a law firm in East Texas, and I was ready to come back home to Dallas. And so thankfully, I had a few clients to start up with. I mostly at that point focused on deportation defense, so court work, and I got referrals from criminal defense attorneys. So which was perfect, because they did the criminal side, I did the immigration side, and so it was a steady referral base. And then and I was a complete solo, no staff, so very low overhead. Right. Which was also good, because then I could take risks, right? And then a year in, I decided to just spend some money on marketing, and got a website and started, a small SEO campaign.
Yeah, nice.
Which was in 2012, which was the same year that President Obama launched the DACA program, which is the 2-year work permit for children who have been brought here as kids. And it was just like my SEO was scheduled to start on July 1. The application came out in August, and so it was just like, perfect timing.
That is perfect timing. You had something new to talk about.
Yeah. And I had it all set up, so it wasn't like, oh, there's a new law change, let me scramble and find somebody to help me do it. It was already set up. It just so happened the law change came at that time, and within a couple months, I had to hire like 4 employees, because I had so much work.
Huge.
And also, I used that application as a marketing chip, and I didn't charge very much for it. And again, I had low overhead, so I could do that. And that just, I helped increase my clientele base tremendously. And so since then, I've pivoted into doing mostly family-based immigration, so family petitions, and we still do court work, but not as much as I did in the beginning. It's probably about 20% of our practice. And this year we're expanding into the employment-based field as well, so we can be a truly full-service immigration law firm.
Yep. Now, What do you feel like really fueled your growth? Because it's not that easy for a solo. What I think they were talking about the statistics today. When you hang out your own shingle, you start your own law firm. It's like 42% of them make it or don't make it. Like
they fail within the first 5 years. Yeah.
So, but not yours.
Right.
So, what fueled your growth? What do you think the good decisions were?
I think there's been, a lot of different decisions. Somebody gave me the advice once when I was in law school. They said, take care of your firm for the first 5 years, and it'll take care of itself after that. And so, I poured everything I could in those first 5 years, and I worked a lot. If somebody asked me to go speak at something, I was there. Didn't matter if it was 5 people or 100 people. I was very involved in the community, and then obviously I did good work. And so, it was me who was doing most of the work. So I became, I built a reputation for myself. So then 5 years in, when I started hiring attorneys to do more of the other work, so I could focus on the business development side, I had already established a pretty good reputation and could focus on just, more networking. I network a lot with other attorneys who don't do immigration work. Yeah. And so that obviously is a natural referral base as well. But obviously, there's no better referral than, having a happy client. And we're big on getting clients to write reviews for us.
Yes.
If you look at our Google page, we have, besides having a really good review, we have a good amount of reviews, and they're recent, and we're always adding. When I do a consultation and I talk with a potential client and I ask them, how did you hear about our firm? Many times they'll say, oh, well, my cousin recommended you, but then I went on your page. Yep. And I read your reviews. So their family member recommending them wasn't enough.
Yep.
There was something else that had to convince them to schedule that appointment. And so I think it's a combination of all of that.
Yeah, I think law firms grossly underestimate how important Google reviews are, because it's really gotten into people's DNA. Like, I'm not going to hire you, or I'm not going to buy a car from you, or any of these things until I check the reviews.
Yes.
Because they can't really be manipulated, right? So you're getting objective third parties. So now you like social media, right? You're open to that, because not everybody does. Yeah. You're willing to do podcasts. You're willing to do videos. Yes. Talk about what's worked for you.
Yeah. So, for years, I kind of saw it coming, and I was, I've always done, posts and pictures, and, we get clients to take pictures and post them. Happy clients. Yes. Right. And once they got their work permit or residency.
Yep, very smart.
And then during the pandemic, when we really couldn't see clients face to face as much, I started doing videos, and I started doing Facebook Lives, and I had to just get over the fact of seeing myself on video, because I think that's the big obstacle for most people.
Or even hearing your voice.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I hate watching my videos.
We're very critical of ourselves.
Exactly. But I just had to get over it, because I knew for my clientele base, they needed FaceTime. They needed to see me, even if they couldn't see me physically. Yep. And I just got very habitual about it. I did it every, I don't know if it was Mondays or Wednesdays during lunchtime. Because my husband was working at home with our small kids at home. And during lunchtime, I would say, hey, go take them out to eat, or go take them to the park, so I can record my Facebook Live. And I was just so super consistent about doing that.
So that's how you were able to, it was very regimented.
Yes.
And organized.
Very, very super consistent about doing it. And so then after a while, I would have clients come in for a consultation, and they would tell me, I've been watching you for months. And, finally,
that's got to feel good.
After, knowing after 6 months, they've scheduled the appointment. And that's what it takes for some people, Yeah.
It's amazing that you've been able to keep it up. You really are very consistent, and I think that's a key. And I don't take that for granted, because we've worked with people. We've given them, all right, here's the first 30, videos to make. I've even given people ring lights. There's no excuse. Just, I'll make your first 5 with you, and then they can't do it. Yeah. So, where does the passion for that come from? Just knowing that you have to do it?
I think it's, that you have to do it. And I mean, thankfully now I have other attorneys, so I don't have to be the only one who does them all the time. But I mean, initially it was just me because, for a law firm, especially for one like a small law firm, I'm the brand. And so you want to be consistent. And then it also helps because, during the Facebook Lives, clients would ask me questions. And so it would also remind me of what is important, and, what do clients really want to know? Because what I think they want to know is not necessarily
what's on
right.
their mind.
Yes. Yeah. So it helps you keep on top of what's current.
So you mentioned that early on in your career, when you probably had more time than you really wish you had, you invested it in the community and in events and things like that. But I've also noticed that as now you're quite larger and you have other attorneys that work for you, you're still extremely active in the community. How do you find the time to do that? Talk a little bit about why you do it and what all you do, because it's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I think, public service is just in my DNA. And so, when I was first starting out, I did a lot of pro bono representation and legal service workshops through an organization called the Dallas Hispanic Bar Association. We did a lot of pro bono there. And then about 9 years ago, I decided to run for public office for the Dallas College Board of Trustees, which basically is our local community college system, and it just helps give people access to higher education. And for me, that's it just makes me feel good knowing that I'm helping people on a higher platform. And now my biggest project, which I think you attended our luncheon last year, and we're having another one in October.
Fantastic, I'll be there.
Yes, we help, me and my friend helped start a leadership academy where we help encourage people to run for public office, and we give them all the training that they need, from learning how to present themselves, telling their story, to hiring the right consultants and how to campaign and fundraise.
Build their confidence.
And then, we invite all local elected officials. Also from out of state, we had, Ed O'Keefe with CBS News come and talk to us about, how to talk to the media. And we just try to get them ready so that, we can have a new generation of public servants.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, Monica, looking back on your career and how you've built all of this, I'm sure you've learned some lessons, right? Things to do, things to not do. Would you mind sharing some of your keys to building a law firm for someone who's just going out on their own and faced with, a pretty tall task? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think my number one advice for somebody starting new would be, try to keep your overhead as low as possible. Sometimes we think that we have to have the nicest office and the nicest part of town. And just be aware of where do your clients live? Yeah. And you want to be accessible to them. And, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to get 3,000 square feet or 4,000 square feet to start off. Start small. If you're in an office building, there should always be room to grow within that. I mean, I found that for myself. My first office was in a Class C building, in probably about 1,200 square feet, and I quickly outgrew it, and that's a good problem to have, right? Because most office buildings will let you get more space. They don't only let you go smaller, but they'll let you get more space. So I try to be very aware of having low overhead, so then when I needed to spend money on marketing, I was able to do that, right? And I think also sometimes when I talk to young lawyers or new business owners, they're risk adverse, and then they want to just hold on to their money and they don't want to spend it. But if you're strategic in how you spend that money, it'll pay off tenfold. I know for me, I got outreached by so many radio stations, and when I saw how much that cost versus how much SEO cost and the bang for your buck, for me it made more sense to go the SEO route than traditional radio.
Yeah, I think someone mentioned that in one of the sessions today.
Yes.
That they did it for years before deciding there was no ROI.
Right.
But I think some of that comes from attorneys just not knowing what their options are.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't know who to trust. right? And what's going to really work? Because as an attorney, I think a lot of people are trying to get your dollars, right?
Right.
And it is difficult to know who to trust.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, just being strategic and doing your research, just like you would with anything else. Because it's really easy, to talk to every single vendor. But you want to make sure that you're spending your money in the best way possible to get that return on the investment.
So, Monica, you're kind of easing into the employment immigration practice area. So, talk to us about that a little bit.
Yes. So as we see, the growth in Dallas of more companies in the area, and for years, we've kind of, when I get those calls, I've referred it out. And now that I have an attorney on staff who is very comfortable doing cases, we've been able to take on already some H-1B cases. We're hoping to expand more into J-1s and E-visas. And really, so we can, serve our community, help our clients in any way they need, whether it be through, work visa or through the family route.
Yeah, so finally full service, right? Has that been a dream for a little while?
It's something that, in a city like Dallas, attorneys kind of tend to niche themselves. But yeah, as I look into, where I want to be in the next few years, being able to be a full service attorney, I am board certified, and being able to serve clients at that level, I think it has been a goal of mine.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because only a small percentage of immigration attorneys are actually board certified. They're a little bit hard to find.
Yes, less than about 2% of all attorneys in the state of Texas are board certified, and within the immigration field, it's even smaller. And so, I think something very important to myself and also to our clients to know that, we can really call ourselves experts in the field.
Yeah, because it's against state bar rules to say you're an expert unless you're board certified.
Exactly.
Yep. So, well, I have a feeling you're going to be very successful in the employment, immigration sector, especially with your background, your expertise, your energy, and you've built such an incredible brand already. So, best of luck with that. You've heard it from one of the best in the business, Monica Lira Bravo. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it, and good luck to you.
Thank you.